It's just, he thought that's where he is. Nope, don't see him. Clearly didn't go that way.
All right, and third time's the charm. Let's go. Do we have another replay?
No, we don't have another.
Oh, we don't have another replay. Okay. Sorry, my bad. I thought we were
having
another
too
one.
much of a good time. We wanted more.
All right, but ladies and gentlemen, what we do have is the next battleground, and it is going to be Towers of Doom. It is a battleground that we've seen plenty of times yesterday, and not always did it go as expected.
Yeah, we've had some one-sided and we've had some very un-one-sided matchups here. Germany and Belgium, I think, put on a fantastic show here, including a very heavy melee comp with a surprise Leoric.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this one. I would quite like to see Italy go for a similar strategy, because even though it didn't work as well, Stitches and Garrosh can both gain very solid value here because the amount of control over the objective, but they should still be bear in mind the threat of Zagara or Tracer or that kind of comp in the draft.
So I think the questions that Italy have to ask themselves is, do we have the hero pool to draft meta, or do we need to continue putting Moldavius on these comfort heroes? He's been, as you mentioned, he's been playing 3 different heroes in 3 different roles. Is that because those are the heroes he likes and that's what he plays in the Hero League? Or is that because he's the most flexible player? I'm leaning more towards the fact he has a limited hero pool because he's not a competitive player.
Limited. This would also explain why he is actually... We're not putting him down here. He's really good on all of those heroes, but that could likely come from practice, which is why he is coming onto those as opposed to those potentially more meta heroes.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the limits in hero pool, as you pointed out, Bakery, is I think what makes a big difference in this matchup. We saw Italy not really going for any target bans, because if they had banned out, let's say, Danatan's Zagara, there would have been plenty of heroes for him to fall back on, but with Moldavius, that is not always a given, and that's why the Asmonuk ban was so crippling.
So, Rip
This
Specialist
time,
I like it, to be honest. I like
Asmodan gone from Moldavius, Zagara gone from Danatan, and we're starting the game on an even footing.
Yeah, once again, guys, if you see those trademark bans here really taking away the trademark heroes, let us know what you think about it. Type in hashtag FRWin if you think France got this, or if you think that if Italy can do it by banning Zagara, then let us know by hashtag ItWin if you're supporting the Italian team.
So yeah, there's 2 specialists banned out straight away. There are still a couple who can gain crazy value on this map. Abatha is probably one of his most efficient maps in the game, right, Bakery?
Yeah, absolutely. Abatha's an absolute terror on this map, but he does have weaknesses, and that's why I like this decision here. Just pick up the Grey main, keep it stable, keep it solid. France, I feel like they should think we are the better team in this matchup, and Twitch chat does agree.
Yeah, this is looking a lot more clear here with France taking a huge lead, 68, almost 69% there in favor of Italy. Now,
okay,
the last Vikings are locked in.
The Vikings coming in. Now, I was about to say picking the Grey main opens them up to play the Abatha, but instead they're going for a different specialist in the form of Vikings, that lane control. But currently, Globals, all of them are still on the board. ETC is in fact already in the game. So whoever is playing the Vikings on the side of Team France is going to need to be very cautious, and France themselves need to pay very careful mind to where those Globals sit in the rest of the draft.
Yeah, I was just complimenting France and playing it safe. Apparently they've got other ideas, you know, they've gone off the rails now, guys. I'm not sure I like it. I think Italy is a team that we have seen draft exceptionally well against enemy team compositions. That's their big strength. And their other big strength is they're fantastic in Hero League. Lost Vikings, they're better in Hero League than they are in coordinated play, and I'm sure these guys are all very comfortable playing against them. So I don't like it.
Comms are a wonderful thing when it comes to dealing with the Lost Vikings.
Absolutely.
Deciding who is going to deal with it, because sometimes you either get no one dealing with them or everyone dealing with them, and that's when it becomes a disaster.
Yeah, Team Italy needs to find a good balance of not overcommitting against the Vikings, but by the same token, they also need to have at least 1 or 2 heroes that can easily pop off individual Lost Vikings at any given point. Some of them could be Zeratul. Global's also very strong in my opinion, but does Italy have the player material to really make a complicated to execute pick like Zeratul work?
We'll have it to see. For now, Italy, they decide to ban out the Lucio. Interesting ban here, already works very well with Greymane and Muradin, and of course, the Lost Vikings allow Lucio, if they decide to group, to stack party mix very fast. That is one of the small little combos that we get in the Heroes of the Storm that is very fun to deal with, and Abatha does look like he won't make it into the game, is being hovered as a ban for France.
The interesting thing for me is it looks like France believe that the Lost Vikings are countered by Abathur. They didn't pick it themselves.
Yeah.
They picked a Greymane to potentially pick the Abathur, and now they're going to ban it. I actually see it the other way. I feel like Abathur is extremely hard to play into the Lost Vikings.
Yeah, like it gets some advantages in the form of potentially Soma transference, getting some more healing, but overall, its split soak potential you can get from Abathur has a very rough time against the Lost Vikings, whereas the Vikings don't have the same issue.
Now they're hovering Tassadar, which is a ban I much prefer. Tassadar is fantastic against Greymane because Greymane loves to get someone low, to have that poke with cocktails, and then to go in with his E and with his go for the throw and actually get the resets. Tassadar is a hero that always slows that process down and can always have that clutch shield that really ruins Greymane's day if he did decide to dive in too early. So I like that ban.
Speaking of resets, how strong are heroes like Li Ming or Genji, for instance, against a Viking pick?
I think Genji in particular is very strong. It's still up. For Italy, it's something I definitely see them like to go into here. Because Genji, the fantastic thing about him is he can gank a lane with his E. He has his E back up if he gets the kill. That means he can go for another Lost Viking if there's a second. That means he can very quickly rotate back down towards the team.
Yeah.
And he's also very flexible. Even if the team's not there, Genji has a lot more pressure in a 4v5 scenario than he does in a 5v5 scenario. And so Genji, definitely a pick I'd like to see Italy get.
And the other one you mentioned was Li Ming. Now, a lot of people in Hero League would be considering potentially Li Ming to be a counter to the Vikings due to the fact they are lower health, so there's a higher chance of resets. But she has her own issues. Would you like to go into those? No?
I could. So the
Or build could be one.
The thing about Li Ming is that she gets stuck in this situation where you need to team fight against the Lost Vikings to get value. The great thing about Genji is that he's a ganker, and he gets resets from ganking, gets resets from skirmishing. Li Ming, though, if she's stuck on bot side, you can end up very likely not getting any resets from the Lost Vikings until the late game.
And there's always the chance of you get a reset on a Lost Viking. When you're Genji, that means you leave the lane and go for another one. When you're Li Ming, you're now in bot lane with no enemy heroes around, and now you have your abilities back. Cool, I guess. And instead, it's going to be France who pick up the Li Ming.
Denying the Li Ming, as we said, it does have issues, but it can still be a real terror in those team fights.
There is the chance of it working.
Opting for the solo support Karazim, which is interesting. We might get to see one of the newer buffed talents at level 1, that being Transcendence or indeed Insight.
Yeah, definitely true. And what I like about this Li Ming here in this very specific scenario is the fact that we could see a Force of Will and deny the silence from Stukov from a long range distance every single time. Because in those narrow choke points on Towers of Doom, a well-spread lurking arm can be the disaster for the enemy team.
Yes, it can. They've also gone for Lunara here, so a little bit of extra poison here, which can spread out. If she was to go for the Splintered Spear, there's a good chance of Vikings eating a couple of those hits as well, so potentially microing them out of the fight. And of course, however, we have seen Karazims in the past be used as a direct counter to Lunara, but as a solo support, it does mean your healing could end up lacking.
Absolutely. I think Italy, we might be seeing their hero pool issues we mentioned before. These are not competitive players, these are fantastic Hero League players, and that means they do not have to limit themselves to one role. When you combine them all together, that might cause issues, such as Moldavius having to stick on that Stukov, not being able to flex to a more damaging support that has more threat to the Lost Vikings, and not getting Genji, not getting a high damage reset Range Assassin, instead opting for Lunara.
The damage output with this Lunara, though, could be very strong. The amount of slows they have, if they choose to go the unfair advantage route, is crazy. They have the Yorick, they have Rhaegar, and they have the Stukov with his weighted pustules. Lunara, if they can keep her alive and they can keep the fights going for a long time, which with Rhaegar and Stukov, their healing output is very solid, it could work out in their favor.
And as you can see, the chat is leaning heavily now towards that French team after seeing the draft. Would you agree with that?
I think it's probably more such a convincing game 1 that has them believing in fans.
Fair enough.
It's hard to argue. Fans are looking very strong in all 3 games they have played so far.
Techa, what is your final verdict?
I like Vikings, and I don't think they've drafted as much as they could to potentially deal with it. So I am going to be leaning towards the French team here, who are spawning on the left, with Kira on Li Ming, Danatan on Greymane, Masquerade on the Karazim, Wonka on Muradin, and on the Lost Vikings, it's gonna be Ewok.
And their opponents this time around will be Italy once again. Rayquaza playing the Leoric. We have Booyah on that ETC. Moldavia's playing the Stukov again. And last but not least, we're going to have Fatal Error on that Rhaegar and Cess on the Lunara.
So, starting off, it is going to be an Iron Fist build. He is just going to go for that extra pressure, pressuring the Lunara. We don't get this, the nice Insight or Transcendence build. However, the Vikings, a Balog build starting up here.
I think I've heard tales of this build where you focus a lot on, you know, split pushing and a lot of AoE damage, potentially even scaling into percentage damage later on. Ooh, and Kalaris is a very big fan of that build. I think we had discussions last year at some of the tournaments that we've been together, and he's a Vikings fan by heart.
So yeah, for those who don't know, this level 1 talent is called Explosive Attacks, and it basically gives Balog crazy split pushing and crazy mercenary potential.
Very true.
Increasing his splash damage from his swords by 100% to non-heroic enemies, aka mercenaries, minions, summons, etc.
And I think he's going to need that, or the Vikings are going to need that against a hero like Leoric, who has a lot of wave clear himself. And Leoric could be a very interesting pick in general once we get to those 5 versus 8, I guess, team fight, where his level 10 heroic, the March of the Black King, could potentially hit multiple Vikings and give him crazy self-sustain.
Very true indeed. However, there is also the very unfortunate chance of Leoric landing that Drain Hope onto a Viking when he may want it on Muradin during that Avatar form, which could be a very unfortunate scenario to find himself in.
And apparently, elementary school math is pretty hard, so it's of course going to be a 5 versus 7, not a 5 versus 8.
very, very true.
Get schooled, Kendrick.
Get schooled, get schooled. As we do see the first objective beginning. Looks like it's going to be a big group up for France in the bot lane. The Wisp sees everything here, whereas in the top lane, we're going to see an attempt to hold the line. Leoric zoning away Balog here, and they're, Olaf, and they're able to pick up the shot. So it's trade for a trade, and in the bot lane, Eric, he's sneaking it in, and France are going to take a 2-for-1.
Yeah, very nicely done, and this is exactly what the Lost Vikings can do to you if you face them on Towers of Doom. One Viking is enough to capture an altar, one Viking is enough to interrupt the enemy team from taking one, and there is so much map control already building up for France at this point.
Bit of focus onto Wonga here as the final sapper is killed off. We did see Stukov silencing them so they would not run in, but unfortunately he was too far forward. He was positioned in a situation that would be useful if the wall was still up. The second it went down, he had to stop his silence, and 2 of the sappers were able to explode onto that bell tower.
Definitely true. Now let's take a look at some of the other talents here. Funnily enough, we do not see the Spirit ally from Kharazim. Instead, we go for a classic Earth ally Kharazim. Against all the poison sustained damage that's coming in from Team Italy, maybe we would have expected something else. But in the meantime, Leoric takes the life of Greymane.
Very nice kill there with Leoric, and a good job. Leoric is another one of those heroes who actually does have really solid auto attacks, so gives a little bit more value out of that Earth ally. And Stukov has the highest auto attack in the game. So if he actually is able to land any Earth ally will help. Go right, full retreat, poison gets reset.
That's
and
it, baby.
He goes down, trying to teleport towards Kharazim, but he was too far away.
And Earth ally is not going to save you from the Lunara poison. So
you may be noticing how fast these rotations and ganks are coming in from Italy, and that actually has a little bit to do with ETC's level 4, the speed metal.
Yeah, very interesting. So speed metal gives a little bit of a movement speed bonus to nearby allied heroes. I think it's 10%. So it really allows you to get into a team fight and get out just as quickly. So we're going to see how that comes into effect for Bue here. Although at level 4, I'm normally a bigger fan of the loudspeakers, knocking people farther away, or sometimes even the crowd control, where the crowd surfer, excuse me, where you go over walls.
That's the one.
There we go.
Getting the talents mixed up there. As we do see also for the Vikings, Eric the Swift, and they've already hit level 7, going with the spin to win, not committing fully to that Balog the Fierce.
Definitely true. Now, let's see what Masquerade can do. Looks like Italy is not willing to interfere. They're trying to go on a Viking hunt instead. Lunara got one, and looks like they're just sharing altars. And time is definitely on Italy's side here. The Vikings, they fall off heavily in terms of raw team fighting power as the game enters the level 20 range. However, they become a threatening menace still in the macro aspect. You can always have them, you know, capture sneaky mercenary camps. You can always have them defend or attack bell towers. So it's not all of the woods once Italy gets to 20 automatically.
Exactly, and even just having the Vikings on the map is a big deal. Leoric, though, has been doing... Oh, hang on. Booyah, having to escape. And we will see France stealing away this Sapper camp. But yeah, one of the big deals, the Yorick is doing a great job clearing lane against the Vikings. He is basically two laning, rotating between the two lanes to continue to keep it cleared. Balog will poke him down just a little. Good silence again by Stukov to prevent those sappers from coming in here.
That's a really solid point. The lurking arm can be used to prevent sappers from going into full kamikaze mode, so they will not go on an explosive mission. Really cool. You can do that with any CC effect. Basically, it's just that the lurking arm is such an easy one to execute.
Yeah, and it's very much a longer duration.
Exactly.
Forces the sappers back into melee. They'll still do some damage, but as long as they're not exploding, you're probably going to get a net gain from it.
And when you play against the Lost Vikings, staying even in experience is a big achievement, actually, especially if you play on a macro-heavy map like Towers of Doom. So good job by the Italian team. Really, really solid.
Ewok being forced to retreat on that Balog here, whereas Eric, I believe, has joined Olav in the top lane, at least for the moment. Oh no, he's acting as a ward. With he has got Eric the Swift, as opposed to Spy Games, which have been the level 1 talent. Wonka, focus down, he's silent, trying to find a gap, but he can't do it. Fatal error getting the last hit.
And this is brutal. This is a big blow against Team France here. Without their main tank, without their main frontliner, they're probably not going to be able to contest this one bell tower, this one altar, excuse me. But Italy, I think they would have liked to have more. I think they would have liked to have maybe 2 altars, one in the bottom and one in the very bottom.
They would have loved to, and the fact is this is still not actually guaranteed for them. Muradin is back.
They've got great
very early in the game. Let's see what the poke potential could do. Ewok could even attempt something here if Eric were to survive, which is actually looking quite unlikely. Oh, reset. Reset the poison. Reset it.
I think Cess doesn't even need to. One more auto attack.
Ewok will drop down here. Eric the Swift healing. Keep running, Ewok! Keep running! Keep healing! He's got it! He's out! Oh, he ran into the keep. He's dead. Well, I don't know why he did that. I don't know why he did that.
You know, sometimes when you play the Vikings, you're going to have fast fingers and you're shuffling over your keyboard all the time, just like a StarCraft 2 player. And sometimes one mouse click, one keyboard click too much seals the deal for a poor little Viking.
Yeah,
or maybe Lunara had another W ready.
Maybe, but even so, he could have made run back
he was already
where he came as opposed to
he was definitely
the base. So, so either way, level 10's available for both teams that march the Black King. You mentioned it earlier, the crazy healing potential we could see from the Yorick here.
And now there's going to be a lot of weight on Li Ming's shoulders here in the Wave of Force. 2 abilities that she needs to be on the lookout for. One, of course, we all know that, the ETC Mosh Pit. If you ever play Li Ming against an ETC, never go Disintegrate against Mosh Pit. It's usually the wrong choice. But also, we mentioned that during the draft, the Lurking Arm by Stukov can be easily interrupted from a very safe distance.
Exactly, and that will be a big deal because that Lurking Arm has been very effective at picking up Muradin. Eric the Swift, Ewok,
keep running
off the jukes, fatal error, chasing down though, and he will be able to kill off that Eric.
He's still alive for now.
There we go. I was about to say, how is he alive? Yeah, Eric, incredibly hard to kill with that Eric the Swift, but persistent and sometimes the speed of that Ghost Wolf form can be enough to do so.
Yeah, Leoric fell in the meantime as well. Of course, he will also get some trade value himself. And oftentimes, we find ourselves in a very funny situation where Leoric dying is actually better than him being alive because it allows your team to have decent vision, it allows your team to still shuffle around the enemy team, force out a couple of more cooldowns, and then with a fully recharged Leoric, you can switch things around.
So Leoric has gone back to his old-fashioned strategy of rotating between the 2 lanes here. Get tricked, indeed. He may rotate down, though, to assist in this bottom lane, but like you said, they are even on XP versus a Viking team. They're just about to hit level 13, which Prox just hit. Italy, they're holding it together. They're exactly even on core health. Going to be able to interrupt Ewok pretty easily here with that Lurking Arm, but Wonka has a good leaping strike, though, and the cleanse was used. Ewok, though, will be able to grab this altar in the meantime.
Yeah, this is exactly what the Italian team just can't seem to be able to be doing here. Wave of Force keeps enemy heroes at bay. Wonka in trouble. Masquerade in even bigger trouble. Booyah doesn't get the connect here. No mosh pit being used. But there's just so many enemy heroes on the map that the Italian team just can't seem to get a grip.
And while Leoric was down here, the other 2 Vikings just kept pushing. So so he continued to lose value. Merlin just finished the stack on that body of Yorick there, so nice and useful. Booyah trying to zone, and this time his team will be able to hold their objective.
Silence there is good as well, but the French team, they only wanted to skirmish a little bit. I don't think they intended of really hard committing to this Merc invade. Ominous Wraith here being locked in at level 13 for Yorick. That could be followed up by Royal Focus, and while it isn't really the same as it was before his rework, it still allows Leo to rotate between lanes very swiftly. So that means he's going to have an easier time taking things into his own hand against those countless Vikings assaults.
Exactly, and it will give him some very nice backline engage potential. Getting a nice spectral swing, and there goes Balog, finally able to execute one. While Yorick is holding down Olaf in the top lane, Eric and the rest of Team France, though, are putting on some pressure to the bot lane, and we do see Italy attempting to react to this.
Yeah, very interesting talent choice here as well on the side of Lunara, going for the greater spell shield, which is something we do not always see. Unfair advantage is normally the go-to choice, especially if you do have a couple of other slowing abilities in your team, like the Totem, for example, by Rhaegar. But the greater spell shield comes in very handy if you take a look at the French team. Raymain cocktails, Li Ming spells, most important. You can really destroy a reset chain by Li Ming who thinks you can go in, but you can't get the kill.
And there's always the chance of the Vikings attempting a sneaky wraparound strategy, using play again and moving in with a triple spin to win.
Definitely true. The longer the game goes, I think the more the Vikings are going to opt in for some surprise flanking maneuvers, as you said, with the play again. 3 altars now available. The bottom one should be under control. They just can't let Ewok do his thing, though.
Fatal Arrow should be able to drive back.
Saw the Gary.
Hold it. The Yorick, though, is trying to hold the line up in top. We already see a Viking has managed to grab the one in the top left. It looks like they're just going to abandon it in spite of one. Okay, Rhaegar changed his mind.
Yeah, Rhaegar needs to stay there.
There is no support here. Ewok will drop.
And now 2 Vikings are currently dead. Never mind, it's only Olaf.
Yeah, Eric is still
But they have to give him the bottom one.
Yeah, Rhaegar's ditched it, and they're going to attempt to get some kills instead. They're going to get one ult and the kill on Muradin here. That's going to be very nice for them.
Go boss right now. I think without the main tank, there's no way France can contest this, and Italy really needs to get some value in it. So, they're not okay. So bottom lane would be dead open if they went for the boss right now. But it is so low already. Can you even save it? Is it even worth saving a low bell tower? I don't think it was. I think they could have taken the boss and trade 4 shots. Yeah, exactly.
So instead, looks like they are going to try and save it. It looks like they may try to make a play onto the opponent's bell tower using this mercenary camp. And already they are pushing up the lane, moving into range to start harassing the bottom bell tower.
I mean, they didn't have level 16, so maybe that was another reason for the Italian team to play a little bit more safely, because 16 was still a big issue. Li Ming, Raymain, great poking from afar as well. And I do like what they made out of the situation nonetheless, saving their own bell tower on the one hand and applying a lot of pressure on the other hand.
Booyah, dashed in away, and the fleeting swipe used by the Stukov to give them the chance to escape. The Sappers, however, will be neutralized.
Exactly, definitely true. Now, what can the Italian team do? Moldavius on the Stukov is playing a wonderful game once again. Fatal Error, a lot safer than last game on the Rhaegar. But look at that huge range from Wonka's Dwarf launch at 16. He's going to be an absolute menace. He's going to have such a long range to jump over the countless walls and corridors that we see on Towers of Doom. He's going to be quite tricky to deal with.
So Stukov, by the way, for his level 16, looks like he went for the Super Strain, the extra healing. If it hit the target he is healing, it's stunned. Actually, I think it's armor. But either way, he is trying. The fight has broken out. Both of the Vikings are being chased down. Eric will escape because he's fast, but we will see 2 Vikings dropped here.
Yeah, definitely true. And big kudos to Kirva on that Li Ming. He's so patient. He never really pops the gun too early when there is a silence going on from Stukov. He patiently waits for that mosh pit moment where Wave of Force explodes in value.
So yeah, it is actually the extra health from that Super Strain, but like you said, the Wave of Force is being held very efficiently, but it has not helped them hold this bell tower as it does go down just in time for the objective to spawn. So Italy going to be in a good position to try and fight this. The Vikings are dead, but that is not relevant. Actually, it's relevant. Play against not viable.
Exactly.
Not available here.
It's not available. So they're trading 1-for-1, which is a better trade overall for Italy, since they do get 1 additional shot in. But still, France maintains a very comfortable lead in overall core health. They're still, 19 to 13. That's pretty huge.
6 shots ahead in favor of France as the Vikings.
But isn't it crazy, Tetra, that the non-Vikings team is turning on the heat and dictating the pace of the game?
It really is. It is quite unusual here. But now we are seeing Italy moving in. They are going to try and, like you said, dictate the pace of the game even more by taking down yet another bell tower. And they can do so because bot tower is being seized back by France, meaning that this one is unattended other than Muradin.
So here's what France needs to hope for. They definitely want to have as many 2 or 3 bell tower phases as possible. The moment there's only one available, it's going to be very hard for them to win a team fight because the Vikings' power level is slowly but steadily decreasing. Whereas if there are 3 available, for example, they can always poke from afar, they can always push Italy back while 1 or 2 Vikings are taking care of the rest.
Speaking of taking care of things, we saw Rhaegar there doing a fantastic job soloing mercenaries, as he is one to do. Rayquaza getting close in on, he will die here. I don't... March of the Black King was not a correct proc there.
No, that was more of a panic reaction here. He should have definitely saved the cooldown. There was no way he could have gotten out of it. Nice 7-sided lockdown, though, as well on the side of Masquerade. Really well played.
Masquerade pulling back towards this team. They're going to assist in, looks like they're going to just go for mercenaries in bot lane, or at least hold the line there to prevent any kind of extra bell tower being taken. Ouya, he does
go
see
for
this
it.
happening. We see lots of all of the heroes are here. They're going for it, looking for Karazim. The silence was dropped, but Karazim takes a different route, so the camp is stolen, but that could have been so much worse.
The silence was actually misplaced, but I think Moldavi's expected Karazim to dash to the left a little bit sooner, and as such, it was just an unfortunate turn of events here. Out-mind gamed, as some people would call it.
Well, you were talking about that 2 bell tower phase, and it has happened.
Oh no!
Come on,
all
man.
of it's not going to live,
That's going
mate.
to split. That's going to split the team, though, split the attention. And we will see Olaf. He will get taken down, but this basically guarantees the left bell tower for France because they were able to distract 2 members of Team Italy here. So 1-1.
And this time the bell tower count is dead even, so both teams getting the exact same amount of shots in.
Rayquaza was looking for something there, but was not able to lock anyone down or to find anyone to be the target of the engage.
Here we go. So now it's going to be a tricky situation for Italy. 20 is already there for France. These Storm Talons have been locked in. Rewind on Muradin is going to make him even more mobile on the one hand, but potentially also more durable because he has that healing static available twice now.
So we see the extra cooldown reduction, aka both of the leaping strike stacks will come back at the same time for Lunara at level 20. ETC with the death metal coming in here.
Which if you can't cast a normal one, at least go for the unexpected 100% one.
Exactly, and that's actually a really good idea when combined with the Karazim talent, the transgression, the extra 2 7-sided strike hits.
Yeah, very strong. 11 hits are going to hail down from the skies. Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be interesting to see who's going to make it. Also, the draining despair.
Yes. Going to be really nice with just the AoE damage here. Bosch Pit is dropped here way before Spike. We said perfectly timed, but the silence prevented Karazim's escape, and we do see Italy able to pick up the kill.
Yeah, this is a huge kill for Italy. One of the supports being out of the way means that the sustain is not nearly going to be as powerful. In fact, Karazim was the only support to potentially keep anyone alive here. The Trick Spray basically telling the whole story. We're going to take this boss. We're going to get 4 additional shots and bringing you to 11 core health, and this is the best case scenario for Italy. No, they're not going to try anything. There we go. And this is the best case scenario for Italy. Only 1 altar phase, so they can go to the bottom, easy peasy, but look at the bell tower count.
The bell tower count is just in favor of France here with that bottom 1 in their control, and they're going for top with Eric already down here.
Oh, this is so cute.
And so there's going to be a 2 bell tower shots here coming, 2 shot bell tower. Oh, Ewok, please. Okay, so it's going to stay as 3 here. They're able to claim that back, so Ewok may have actually helped Team there. Helped Team Italy there by delaying them so that that shot would become a 3 shot as opposed to a 2 shot.
Look, Eric is going for it again.
Please! He gets another one. He keeps going. He's taking so much damage. They don't finish him. As long as he keeps running, he keeps doing this, but he stops microing for just a second. And as such, Italy take the shots, but in that time, France took another bell tower. It's only a 2 shot.
Hey, is that even playing fair? Like, Eric survives everything there, keeps slinging his stones at the enemy team, and
he's actually doing a little bit of extra damage as well with that Fury of the Storm on level 20. He gets an extra 105 damage according to the talent text.
Yeah. But now we have this situation where Team Italy is definitely in an advantageous position here with those choke points nearby. A potential mosh pit is so huge. The flaming swipe is probably going to hit everybody who comes in their way. So that's pretty solid.
Mosh pit is just about to come off cooldown as well, so they will be available for this team fight as Italy immediately move back towards that bell tower. Going to begin clearing that up as fast as they can, and they need to. Being behind in this way is devastating for them, even though the core count is even. Italy being on the back foot just makes it so much harder for them to fight over these objectives.
Oh, the repulsion zone
will go down, but if someone had to die, that's the best hero it could have been.
Absolutely. Leoric is going to be back faster than anyone else. Now a huge lurking arm as well, and it is absolute madness. The repulsions everywhere, causing so much displacement.
The mosh pit back on that 100 cooldown. It was not able to finish off the hero here, thanks to that repulsion. Like you said, beautiful move by Lee Big. Bye, Eric. Welcome back. And he gets immediately deleted. But in the meantime, Baylog is pushing mid. Olaf is proxying the lane in the top lane. They are well, if there was a lane, but he's just waiting there for it. They are consistently keeping the pressure on as the objective spawns.
Yeah, the Burning Rage on Olaf, of course, dealing additional wave clear potential as well. And we talked about the Vikings falling off in teamfight power, but the macro strength is just unmatched up to this point. Italy, they need to force something right here, right now, but a Vikings flank coming in from behind.
They are going to put some pressure onto that ult to try and split the attention of Italy. Rayquaza is alive. Rhaegar in trouble. The Viking good blading swipe. The control chaos really helping out from Stukov, keeping the team alive. Lunara damage on the Vikings. Silence and all Kharazim going to drop a heal on this, and that might be enough to keep Franzo. No, the repulsion again. Wonka wading forwards, but the ominous Wraith was used. Control chaos. The orb denies again. This is France delaying his Rayquaza, dropping even low. Rush the Black King is immediately dodged, but Muradin is getting focused. Can they finish him? Yes, they can. That might be enough for Italy to take this.
This is definitely it. The Burning Despair by Leoric deals an absurd amount of damage, and without the main tank, they're going to take 1, 2, 3 Vikings even potentially, and that is exactly what the Italian team needs to stabilize and not fall behind tremendously.
Masquerade is in a rough place here. He's actually going to be found by Rhaegar. Rhaegar ditches the camp to try and focus Kharazim, who drops seven-sided, but there's too many members here. Kharazim getting focused. He finds Lee Big, he finds Greymane, and Kharazim escapes.
And he didn't even have Epiphany. He basically managed the cooldowns of his Radiant dashes very, very well. Didn't waste any to chase down, and he had all the means to escape thanks to that. Beautiful micromanagement on the hero.
Yes, it was. This is a tense game. 6 health for France, 9 health for Italy, but France with a bell tower lead here. Italy looks like they're going to try and change that by once again controlling that bottom bell tower. No, it's actually they're going to go and deal with this Kharazim up here. They're really stuck between what they want to do with the Viking pressure. They finally kill Eric, so that is a good start. And here we go. Here is the pressure on bot lane we predicted.
Now look at the cooldown on play again, 50 seconds. That's a pretty long amount of time. So keeping the Viking count low, always having them under control is so huge.
I like what they're doing in top lane. Olaf continuing to proxy the lane, and Greymane just took the mercenary camp. So they could get an extra 3 shots in and completely even this up if no one is attending to this. Looks like Lunara is running back. She might be too late.
Can they make it in time though? Yeah, Olaf is really good at playing those, and they're walking through, and they're having a giggle.
We're back to even. The Snapper's having a giggle as the bell tower is getting focused down. Italy are like, yeah, that was bad. We need to deal with this, and they're going to take down that bell tower.
Be so fast now.
They need to be as the objective is spawning. Ewok is going to port back here.
Rayquaza found it
and will get taken out. Down goes the bell tower, and the immediate rotation. But nice one by Kurowa. So no matter what, it's still going to be not enough. France with another bell tower lead as we head into this objective phase. If they have exactly 5, they still need both. Or this and a boss. If either team gets the bell tower and a boss, it is over. If either team gets both bell towers, it's over with 3 shots available for Italy.
That is exactly true. Rhaegar is trying to get the middle one. Looks like Fatal Error is going to make
repulsion is there. So close. Fatal Error trying again. Ewok in position. He was revived by play again. He goes down. Buying time. Eric will get the bottom shots, bringing it up to 1 remaining health for Italy as they desperately try to control this middle bell tower.
That is very true. Can Fatal Error do it, though? There's so much poke, so much interruption available, but not this time around. Italy stays in the game for now. 1, 2, 3. There's so many winning conditions now for either side. Mercenaries, the boss, the next altar.
It's all down to this. Italy, they're going to attempt the mercenaries here as they put some pressure on bot lane. They kind of need to. This is more evident than anything, denying it away from France, because France already hold Italy's altar.
Oh no,
and
are they going for a boss bait?
It looks like they go for a boss cap, mate. They need to cancel. They need to stop. Leoric is trying to zone. Repulsion could end the game here.
Exactly. If you get Li Ming rolling with a reset, this could be all she wrote.
They have Mosh and Death Metal.
Oh,
the boss is dropping down. Controlled chaos.
Is there,
Boss
baby.
on the point. They focus it down. Mosh and the Black King through everything. The Vikings, the last enough. Controlled chaos by Stukov is the ending ability, and that is GG. And Italy take game number 2.
What a battle by the Italian squadron here. They went for a risky call at first glance, but if you took everything into account they brought into the table with their draft, then you had all the team fighting advantages. You had the mosh pit, you had the zoning potential by Zul, that was by Stukov, excuse me. That was a formidable display, Bakery.
Absolutely. I'm so glad they went for that boss. That was the one way they could win that game. It was 2 auto spawn next, and when you have lost Vikings, that is such a difficult situation to play. But in a straight up 5-on-5, their team comp is better, and they recognize that, and they say, everyone's up, let's start that boss.
And I'm pretty sure this boss is going to be part of your replay analysis. Let's see what the first one's going to be, though.
So the first replay is actually going to be... 1 second. It's the 15 versus 15 at top right ultra. Now, this entire game, Italy was winning team fights, and they were still behind because they could not keep up with the Lost Vikings. But this that we're about to see is a key pickoff. So, Veigar leaves the mid lane. He says, screw those shots. I'm just coming up. Let's get a pick. Let's get a fight. Now, Wonka is not scared because there is no power slide. But Moldavius on the Stukov, he says, no thank you. He knows. He opens up with the lurking arm, waited partial just before to make sure he can get it. Booyah getting the clutch slide, and look at this. Wonka's so close to getting the W that might have saved him, but he does not get it in the end. And that is a key pickoff that allowed Italy to gain control. They got a lot of damage on the bot ultra because of that. They got that top right cap, and that basically kept them in the game in a situation where fans were looking basically to end in the next few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't begin to talk about how well Italy played here, Tetra. In game number 1, they had their struggles with dealing Zagara. However, the Vikings are a similar foe, always applying global pressure, always being hard to deal with. This time, they succeeded splendidly.
And I think of the really big catalyst, I want to know if you agree with this, would be the Leoric here. The fact he was able to rotate for the early game, keeping them even for so long, was so impactful for this.
The Leoric was definitely the pick that saved them. The Leoric was keeping up with the Vikings rotating lanes, and their 4-man was stronger, and that allowed them to get footholds and get these team fights and get these pickoffs. However, the next replay I've got for you guys is a fantastic play by the ETC player, Booyah. He really does make the 200 IQ play here, as we're about to see. So it's a counter gank. Like, 7-side strike and Murden, they were waiting for Leoric, but Booyah out of nowhere just slides in, mosh pits where Karazim will come out of the 7-side strike, gets him, then Moldavius follows up with the silence, makes sure he's locked down, and they get the pick. And as you can see, they were on 9 core HP, and ultras are about to spawn. So this was a huge moment for them.
Yeah, very cool moment indeed. And you could really see how the Italian team just did a wonderful job at countering the Vikings. And we talked during the draft, like we talked about how to kill the Vikings with a Zeratul maybe or a Dehaka, but they found another way of dealing with them, just out-sustain them basically. Get as much experience in, and all of a sudden, you're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, Lunara Splintered Spear as well, keeping the pressure on the Vikings, making it so they didn't have the freedom they really wanted, was very effective. And we questioned it during the draft. I was really a fan of that Greater Spell Shield. That was so helpful considering the amount of focus that went into Lunara in some of those fights.
Yeah, sometimes staying alive is way more valuable than destroying some of the other targets.
Can't do damage if you're dead.
Very true. I wish more Hero League assassins would listen to that. No, that was really good, guys. However, we're going to take a small chill pill here. We're going to go on a short commercial break because players need to calm down as much as we do. Don't go anywhere, though. We're in for a spicy ride in this upcoming Game 3 between Italy and Team France.